Hello and welcome to the old garage number 57. I'm Wild Bill and got a couple questions, some silliness, shout out, so let's do the routine. So the first question that we had came from the episode from the top 10 German early car folks from Vincent Basso. But the question is, how about coming up with a reading list? Well, I'll have to be honest that that question in and of itself is way too wide open, because there's just so much that you could want to read a list about. I mean, if you're looking for just introduction, I mean, any of the anthologies that were written by David Burgess Weiss, for example, he wrote the encyclopedia of early automobiles, and it was, I have the version from the 1990s, but that's a good one. You've got Peter Roberts. There's Andrew White. It just depends on what you're looking for. I have this book here, the Handbook of Gasoline Automobiles. This was put out in the 70s, and it was an Alum publication. So that if you want some specifications about some of the cars that were specific to Alum at that time, I've got that. But really, what do you want to know? Because when you're talking cars, get into the clubs, get into the museums. There's in my library, there's no less than 200 magazines, 300 or more. I mean, there's tons of them, from different, clubs, publications, from different types of cars, so it really. If you want a reading list, I mean, be more specific. What do you want to read about, regarding cars? I mean, I'd be happy to give you more specific, but generally speaking, go to your magazines, go to the clubs, and anything by, David Burgess Weiss. I mean, he's the gold standard. And there's others, but just, yeah, there's lots of directions you can go. Okay, second question I had. This came up from the community, from the quizzes, and this comes from Mike RL, and it was, why is the 1903 Paris to Madrid race such a big deal? Okay, well, there's a reason. This particular race was put together, really at the insistence of King Alfonso XIII of Spain. And, he wanted, he's such a car nut. He wanted to be a part of cars. He had to be getting into this. And yet there had already been some issues with running these city-to-city races across countries. Had already come up. I mean, a 5-year-old boy was killed at the 1901 Paris to Berlin. I mean, there had already been issues, but he wanted this, and so the king, he goes to Adrian de Turckheim and to Albert de Dion and says, I want this to happen, And so the race occurred, but it was put together pretty much the same way that others had been done, and it was a bloodbath, quite frankly. There was just so many people killed in the first leg of the race, because it was done in 4 segments. That the race was called off. The brother of Louis Renault, was killed. It was just crazy, and it stopped auto racing in Europe for a good year and a half. And a lot of the car racers went to boat racing and started the water speed records, as a result of this. It wasn't really until around 1905, 1906, that as things started to loosen up more, actual racetracks like Brooklands, and the Brickyard were built, that racing got really going again. So, the Paris to Madrid of 1903, that was a watershed event. And it had a major impact on the direction of racing and racing safety, from then on. So that's why it's talked about. Okay, so those were the questions I had. Now, what was my silliness? I don't know. Okay. Oh, here it is. The silliness. Okay. So, for those who have been in a cave, there was an election in the United States in the last week or so, and in that election, Donald Trump was elected as the 47th President of the United States. Now, he had already been the 45th, so he's a retread, or at least he's used. It's only happened one other time, in American history, with Grover Cleveland, the very late 19th century, where we had a retread president, and, we got it now. And so, so my question is, all mega aside, it's like, if I consider him pulling a Grover Cleveland, should I give him a Grover Cleveland car? I mean, really think about it. If as being elected in the manner he was, if he was to be driving a vintage car, what vintage car would he drive? And my wife immediately said, a Model T. Because, I mean, if you look at, the last episode on, her top 10, and she talked about the Ford versus Selden, I mean, there was kind of connection between Trump and Ford and all of that stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I get it, no, but no. Trump would not drive a Model T. I know the car that Trump needs to have. Okay? Think with me. Trump would drive the Marmon Wasp. Okay? First of all, Ford himself did not drive a Model T to work every day. I mean, he drove a Marmon until he bought Lincoln, so for, up until the last, 4 years of the existence of the Model T, he drove a Marmon. So Ford never drove one, okay? But the Marmon Wasp, what was it? It was the firecracker that won the Indianapolis 500, and it was, and it just looked the part, and it was brash. It was totally different, and despite everyone going, it won. Yeah, Trump. He's the Marmon Wasp. Yeah, I'd give him that car. Let him drive that sucker. He'll do fine with it, I think. And so, with that, we have a shout out, and it's about damn time I do this shout out. And the shout out is the channel Drach NFL. I mean, come on. I've been doing this for 4 years, and I haven't shouted out Drach. Look, if you're watching this channel and if you like it, you need to go, link in description, don't worry, go like, describe, and binge Drach NFL, okay? This channel would not exist were it not for Drach NFL. He was my inspiration. He was the one who gave me a lot of guidance, counsel. I have done collaborations. I've been on his channel. He's been on this one. Episode 2, episode 8. There's a number that he's been on. Drach NFL, come on. If you haven't been there yet, what's wrong with you? Go. So that's what we have for the old garage for today. See you next time. Peace.